Slavutych, in eastern Ukraine. The last town before the Chernobyl exclusion zone. For a long time, Slavutych was a model town of Soviet urban planning. That character survives, with a few more supermarkets, but still just as many troubles. That's where Igor lives. Somewhat rebellious, still a rocker, but not the least bit resentful. Nuclear power wrecked the region, but he came back to work on the plant's decommissioning. And he feels right at home there.
I love nature. The town is quiet, it's clean. You appreciate its beauty. It's perfect for raising children, so we moved here. My parents were much more worried. Where will you take your children? Where are you going? They were genuinely frightened.
It's been a long time since Igor performed. He's put away his hard rock outfits not far from his collection of small cars. The rocker has turned serious.
Oh dear, I'm getting a bit tired now.
On 26 April 1986 at 1:23 a.m., Igor was probably sound asleep. He was 14. His country at the time, the USSR, was about to face the greatest nuclear disaster the world had ever seen.
Leonid Alexeyevich, the roof of reactor number 4 is on fire.
Oh my God.
Following a handling error during a series of tests, one of the reactors at the Chernobyl plant went out of control. It caught fire, it exploded. It was the start of a very long nightmare. The first firefighters sent to the site died within days, horribly burned by radiation. A vast radioactive cloud swept across Europe.
The disaster was announced 3 days later, in 5 lines in a corner of a newspaper. It spoke of an accident, of one of the reactors no longer functioning properly and of safety measures that had been taken.
Today in Kiev, the curators of the Chernobyl Museum have corrected the account by paying tribute to all those men, the liquidators sent to the site to clean it up. The first workers had to clear, almost with their bare hands, pieces of fuel that had been blasted onto the roofs. 30% of them died within a few weeks. Later on, at least 80,000 workers of the apocalypse would die from cancers and various illnesses. This ecological and human disaster is now part of history lessons and of Ukraine's ongoing anxieties.
The most worrying thing is that we don't know the consequences of such a catastrophe, both for our children and for future generations.
Actors, victims and witnesses of the accident now no longer hesitate to confide to the director of this museum everything they dared not say at the time of the disaster, like this helicopter pilot who hid for 30 years the perilous flight plan they had imposed on him over the plant.
He thought it might be useful for his children and grandchildren to know. And he also thought our museum would be the right place for that.
When Ukraine was still Soviet, prudence dictated silence. Now we can speak without fear, but hardly anyone listens anymore, except Anna, who knows all about the suffering born of the disaster.
For 25 years, I've been looking after these people, burying them. They are my friends.
Et puis il meurt.
No one solves their problems. If we merely observe minutes of silence for that, then for their children and the next generations, life will not be better. Radiation has no borders. These problems can arise sooner or later in any country. For me, what I do here is not a job. It's life, you understand. I live for these people.
These people she loves so much have long since left the Chernobyl zone. 350,000 people were evacuated in 1986, rehoused at the expense of the USSR, then left to fend for themselves on meager pensions. Here, on the outskirts of Kiev, for example, there's the chemist's apartment building from the plant. That's where Igor's aunt lives. She had married the foreman of that team. He has been dead for a long time. She is ill. Igor won't be spending much time with her today. But in this heartbreakingly sad neighborhood, he knows many former colleagues of the uncle who adored him.
Did you work after the accident?
After the accident, there was less work, of course, but we worked.
It was dangerous.
Everything was dangerous. We used to go to work by bus into the zone, and the radiation checkpoints wouldn't let the bus through. Because our bus was like a reactor, they didn't clean it often to save money. There were holes in the floor. But we were really clever. We dodged the checkpoints. We knew all the routes. So we went to work anyway. We were hero material. We had 20-minute missions. There were also 5-minute ones.
Even 3 minutes.
After that, we had to clear out. Only there was no one to pick us up. We waited there until evening.
It wasn't very well organized.
We weren't mistreated that much. Elsewhere, it was much worse than it was for us.
Oh yes, there was worse. "70% of the people who worked at the plant at the time of the accident are dead now."
How did you get through it?
We're indestructible. It's God up there who willed it. I've never smoked. I've never drunk. If it happened again, I'd do the same thing. Honestly, I'm telling you, no one forced me to do it. I volunteered. Why should I be crying now?
In 1987, he was awarded the Hero of the Soviet Union Medal. Then the USSR vanished, leaving him a small flat on the 10th and top floor of the chemist's tower. The roof leaks, there is saltpeter on the walls, nothing like the lovely flat where the power station used to house its workers.
Would you go back to Pripyat if you were offered the chance?
To Pripyat? Me? Straight away, without the slightest hesitation. I'd even walk there.
Viktor Viktorievich's Pripyat was also a kind of enchanted city of Soviet socialism. It had sprung up in 2 years to house the technicians of the brand new Chernobyl nuclear power plant. 4 reactors, 2 more under construction, a national pride, a symbol of a bright future. What had been a celebration of the future became the hurried evacuation of 27,000 inhabitants 30 hours after the explosion of reactor number 4. They were forced to leave everything behind, including their pets. All expelled from an area of 2,600 square kilometers, the size of Luxembourg, an area still off-limits and uninhabitable because of radioactivity. "30 years ago, Igor remembers very well the Pripyat of before, where he used to spend his holidays at his uncle and aunt's. Today, the Exclusion Zone Authority frequently grants him a right to visit, a rather like a resident artist. The rocker doesn't do much music anymore, but he takes photos and makes films. Always on the lookout for a shaft of sunlight, rather rare around here. When he comes to Pripyat, he often drops by his uncle's small flat. Downstairs there used to be toys and children's cries, and his aunt would always give him little toy cars. Each time he returns, it grips his heart far more than the immense environmental wasteland that now surrounds the house.
Что ты чувствуешь?
It seems unreal to me. Completely unreal. It's just not true.
Huge facilities are completely abandoned. Equipment is rusting all over the place. There are stray dogs, and the meters often go haywire.
Et les compteurs, souvent, s'affolent.
I'm used to passing through here. I'll take a quick photo. This really is a contaminated area. You can't stay here long because of the radioactivity.
Radioactivity is strongest close to the reactor. Igor's offices are very near. He is a network engineer in the Ukrainian section of the decontamination site. The plant was finally switched off in 1999, but work continues to clean the zone.
Mais les travaux continuent pour nettoyer la zone.
The Ukrainians manage the radioactive waste and will soon be able to tackle the core of the reactor where the fuel still remains.
Toujours le combustible.
A French consortium will complete by the end of 2016 this enormous arch, which will allow access, with reduced risk, to the machinery and to the still highly radioactive fuel.
Below it, there will be an overhead gantry crane, a remotely operated gantry crane that will allow the dismantling of the reactor. And work can be carried out in complete safety.
On this gigantic site, monitoring of personnel is now meticulous. No question of taking too many risks anymore, like the liquidators.
Comme au temps des liquidateurs.
It's Sunday, the site is running slowly. A peaceful day for Igor, which gives him time to show the strange mascot of Chernobyl.
De montrer l'étrange mascotte de Tchernobyl.
Vasya, the giant catfish, over 2 meters long. In Ukraine, the simpletons are often called Vasya. This one is so fat and flabby that it misses its food half the time.
Il rate son pain une fois sur deux.
That's a normal size for this kind of fish, but still, no one would dare touch it. Since anyway, no one fishes them, that's why they become huge.
Would you swim in there?
No, no, no.
It's one of Chernobyl's paradoxes. Everything is dreadfully polluted, yet nature has reclaimed its rights. The 2,600 square kilometers of the exclusion zone have become a nature reserve where wildlife and flora thrive.
Nature has reasserted its rule. It restores the balance that man had destroyed. No need to envisage an apocalyptic scenario, like a nuclear bomb to destroy a town. It's not shells or planes that make these towns disappear. The main demolishers are the poplars, the birches and the maples. They are the trees that grow fastest.
And in these spaces now, freed from their fiercest predators, humans, biologists' surveillance cameras record every day the return of the animals.
You can find species from European forests, like wolves and the lynx. Bears also turn up sometimes. They come from the Belarusian part of the exclusion zone. Badgers, moose, red deer, roe deer, wild boar.
So all that remains around the towns of Pripyat or Chernobyl is nature, the nature that gave its name to the power station. Chernobyl too was evacuated in its day and is still a forbidden town. But every Sunday its small church fills up, which delights Valentina, who this way can see a few people. The town houses 3,000 officials who serve 15-day shifts in a very low radioactivity sector. They are radio analysts, forest rangers, zoologists, but above all guides. The zone attracts over 30,000 tourists a year, identifiable by their white buses. They pay dearly for the right to stay in the exclusion zone. And in this zone, Valentina sees them all pass by her house. It doesn't bother her. She likes that there's a bit of company. She still finds that her small town has been a bit deserted for 30 years.
I left for 5 days.
Only 5 days?
Yes, only 5 days when the accident happened. I sent my parents to Gomel in Belarus, and I came back here to work. How can you live without money? With nothing, in a strange place. They'd given me a flat. I looked it up and left. I quickly found another job here. I wasn't afraid. My mind was working very well. My new job in a dormitory was on Kirov Street, number 38.
Valentina is a samosiola, a new settler, as the officials politely put it. More like a stubborn old mule who refused to leave her house, her raised vegetable plot, and her patch of land. The authorities ended up tolerating her and other grandmothers who had chosen to come back. There is no longer airborne radioactive pollution, but radionuclides are still buried in the soil, and it is strongly advised not to consume anything at all.
Potatoes. All sorts. I grow all sorts here. I also grow gherkins. Tomatoes, carrots, we grow it all. That comes from my garden. You can pickle them.
How many potatoes do you produce?
I have 5 sacks of them. That's more than enough for me this winter. I live alone.
The only thing she will not eat is the fish people bring her. It is not that she is wary, simply because she does not like them. She has high blood pressure and diabetes, but apart from that, she is fine.
No one checks on us. Sometimes we go for X-rays ourselves, that sort of thing. I haven't done it this year yet. There are still the local doctors who keep an eye on us. I'm not going to speak ill of them. There's one who comes to see me every time he passes by my house.
A quiet little life, gardening, a bit of television, church when she can, and that's it. Valentina never complains. Her friends are sometimes less well and more spiteful. At the end of winter, they are pleased to see a humanitarian mission like this one. Supplies become scarce, and their pensions are derisory. So they make an effort by giving a warm welcome to a mission, a Baptist one, Christian, but not very orthodox. There are still 157 of these babushkas in Chernobyl and the surrounding villages. There are almost no men left. The state at first really tried to drive them out, but in vain, especially as it had nothing to offer them.
For example, we don't even have the means to hire a car to take them into town, to Ivankov, in case of need. If the state released some funds, it would be much easier for everyone.
84-year-old Anna gets by. Her husband went to the vodka lover's paradise nearly 30 years ago, so she has learned to manage on her own with her severely disabled sister. Nothing would make them leave.
Rien ne les ferait.
We are such a people that we are not afraid of radiation. You cannot see them, and we eat everything we have here. It's been like that for 30 years, and it will be like that until the day I die. You know, in 1933, my mother had 2 children. One died and I survived the famine, and then there was the war. 3 of my uncles were killed, and my father died at the front. My mother was widowed young. What should I be afraid of now?
Indeed, Anna fears nothing now. When an eagle attacks her hens, she beats it to death with a stick, and if a wolf had the bad idea of showing its nose, she would kill it.
I'm not even afraid. I lock everything at 5 o'clock and everything's fine. No one comes in unless they jump over the fence. And then I'll kill them. We don't have a gun here. I'll go and fetch them once and I'll kill them.
Anna's bursting with energy. She still loves parties, entertaining and having fun.
Et s'amuser.
When she starts to get fed up, interviews can end quite abruptly.
Come on then, my lad. That's enough now. I've got other things to do.
Surviving here has always been a form of brutal art. Igor, on the other hand, is more of a gentle soul, happy to enjoy the last hours of his weekend with his family in the nice little flat he could afford thanks to the power station. That probably helps him see the bright side of things, including in his work as a videographer.
No matter the human tragedy, life manages to renew itself. Nature is reborn. The birds fly, the animals run. They know nothing of the radiation and go on living. But people themselves know what they've done. And that's what I want to show in my work. I don't really know why I do it. Maybe so it doesn't happen again. So that it doesn't happen again. Yes, that must be it.
Igor sometimes picks up his guitar again, but gently, so as not to disturb his children and the neighbors. It helps him sleep too, before meeting his friends and returning to his routine on the 7:40 train to Chernobyl. There are still 3,000 people responsible for decontaminating the site. The most optimistic scientists estimate that this goal will be reached in 24,000 years. Igor, he worries his doctors. He suffers from a hormonal imbalance. Thyroid cancers sometimes announce themselves like that, and his latest blood tests are downright bad. But you have to live. 30 years on, Chernobyl is still causing damage.